And speaking of the achievements of the administration, what is the success, or if you like, failure rate of the naira-for-crude policy with our domestic refinery, Dangote Refinery? And besides that, what is the fate of the price of petroleum products against the backdrop of the concerns of the resumption of hostilities between the warring parties in the Middle East, Iran, and the U.S. government? Let's have this conversation this morning, and joining us is Mr. Daniel Kunle. He's an energy consultant, and he joins us right here in our Lagos studio. Mr. Kunle, good morning, sir, and welcome to the morning brief.
Bukola, thank you very much, my brother.
Good morning.
First opportunity of meeting you people. And thank you to our audience in Nigeria and globally. It's nice to be here.
Welcome.
First time meeting you.
Well, it's a pleasure as well.
The Bonnie issue and the
So let's get right into it.
Yeah.
So, what is the state of the naira-for-crude policy? What are the facts? Because we're hearing reports that Dangote Refinery is spending a lot more now importing crude. So, what is the state of the naira-for-crude policy?
Well, let me dimension your question like this. What is naira-for-crude policy? It was just a theoretical creation for government to be seen to be selling crude to Dangote Refinery in naira. But it's theoretical. The crude is priced in dollars. So even if they are selling it to him in naira, if they are selling to Dangote in naira, they still convert it at the exchange rate. So, and how effective has that even been? Unfortunately, it has not been that effective, because the original contract before the Mele crisis, before the Mele mismanagement of NNPC that almost ruined the country. Up to now, we don't know whereabouts of Mele. They enter a contract with Dangote Refinery that they will give 385,000 barrels per day to the refinery. You can fact check me.
385,000 barrels out of the 650 he needs.
Thank you. 700,000. The refinery today is 700,000.
Oh, it's increased.
That's increased.
Sometimes it does 710,000 barrels per day. It refined crack 710,000 per day some days. So the 385,000 barrels, where is the 385,000 barrels? I always ask realistic question. Where is the 385,000 barrels? Some days Dangote Refinery does not even get 80,000 barrels. 10%. Some days 100,000 barrels. So when they say naira for crude, and then the whole crude, the little allocation left for government after every producer must have taken their own allocation, what is left for NNPC federal government has been committed into future contracts. So I continue to say this narrative, we must still distill it properly. I think government, it's time for government. Sorry to divert. President Tinubu should still bring back Mele to account for how those crude were given out. Because when you hear naira for crude, if you give me crude, you give me 100,000 barrels a day, you charge me naira at exchange rate. Okay, and then I need to refine 700,000 barrels per day. So I'm buying the difference in dollar from somewhere. You understand me? Either locally. This locally means from a third party. That means the person who had crude lifting right with NNPC or with Shell or anybody now sell his lifting right to me. I hope you understand me now. He has already paid maybe Vitol, Trafigura, or any of the big names. So he now come to me and say, take. So I have to buy plus premium. At times $20 on top. So when I add that volume I have bought in dollars, plus the little government gave me in the so-called naira.
Okay, so you're telling us that on some times Dangote may not get up to 80 barrels.
80,000 barrels.
80,000 barrels, as against what was promised as at 385,000 barrels.
Thank you.
But at the time of the takeoff, the naira for crude policy was touted as successful because it reduced the pressure on FX sourcing at the time. And so now that the naira for crude policy is reportedly in jeopardy, what is the impact on the pressure on forex? Because the report is that now marketers have to source for forex by themselves as Dangote begins to price petrol in dollars.
Let me correct one impression. What is the critical mass impact that the crude for naira made on the exchange rate when the volume given was no more than 100,000 on the average? What's the critical mass impact? Dangote exports today, in all ramifications, is the one saving the exchange rate of this country. Let the truth be told.
How do you mean?
Because his export earning is so strong that he does not demand for dollar from the forex reserve of federal government. So that has helped to stabilize dollar. We thank God, and we thank his adventurism, the adventurism of Aliko Dangote, that he went into this refinery business. If not, look, I'm always encouraging President Tinubu for devaluing naira and for stabilizing the exchange rate and unifying it, and also for removing subsidy. But subsidy removal will have collapsed this country in riot and chaos if Dangote Refinery did not kick in at that time.
So
because there would have been chaos.
So let me try to lay out the benefits.
Lay it out.
Let me try to lay out some of the benefits. Then we'll now query how it concerns Nigeria.
Yeah.
My colleague is always talking about the pump price. That's where it concerns all of us.
Yes, bottom line.
So when we look at the stabilization that has come from the harmonization in terms of the exchange rate, there are a couple of factors. Our foreign reserve, there was a rebalancing on one end, import substitution courtesy of the Dangote Refinery. We also have the dollar taking a beating, maybe about in the last few years, maybe 5 or 10%. So all of these factors played in. And then the Dangote Refinery has also helped us to, consciously or unconsciously, we are edging towards energy security, because all of the shocks that happen, what we deal with is affordability, not availability. So those are some of the gains. The question now is, which I want you to respond to, two-pronged questions. The first one was, when the price of crude oil went up for the reasons we know it went up, we saw the astronomical increase in terms of gantry price, eventual cost of PMS at the pump price. But when it came down, we don't see the commensurate reduction. That's one question I would like you to respond to that Nigerians ask a lot. And then, of course, the differentials in terms of margin, that if the crude oil price has now gone down to where it has gone down, and the naira has been able to stabilize lesser than it was, around 1.6, 1.5 to 1.3, shouldn't we be buying PMS lesser, if you get my drift?
Very good. This question continues to your call. Please, what is the average crude price in the last 1 month of the so-called MOU between America and Iran? Has the MOU been held firm for even 2 weeks? You and me live here, tune to Al Jazeera now or Bloomberg and check the price. So when you take stock of crude at 130, you were taking stock inventory 2 months ago. That is the crude you are refining now. I've explained in many other platforms that, look, the stock you bought in April is what you refine in May. Because the inventory, the cargo will not arrive when you pay for it now. It takes about 1.5 months to 2 months to arrive. So when Nigerians, I sympathize with us, because our economic literacy is very, Nigerians don't even know the meaning of interest rate at times. Only few of us know the meaning of interest rate, the cost of money, the cost of inventory, the cost of holding finished product. Today, as we are talking, Dangote hold about 550 million liters of refined product as national strategic reserve. Nobody begged him, because he has the tank to hold it, so that in case anything happens. So who pay for the cost of holding? No, I'm coming.
No,
I'm coming.
I want to make
so
the
when
question
you say
as
the price,
simplistic.
when you say the price did not come down, I hope you know the basic economic principle.
I'm familiar with
pricing mechanism.
I'm familiar with the numbers. So
the sticky downward paradox. When you shoot up, it takes time for you to shoot down. So you have to be careful.
So let me challenge that analogy and help you so they can help us explain what it is.
I will distill it for you. I will do my best.
First, very natural and simplistic question.
Yeah.
Is this the best price we can get? You hold that thought for a moment. We went as high as almost $120 per barrel.
Yeah.
We're oscillating. Yeah. I mean Brent now. We're oscillating between slightly less than 70 to, let's just say 70 to 85. That's where we're oscillating in terms of between last month and this month, given that MOU, which is why I asked that question. Is this the best we can do from the Dangote refinery to be able to help us crash the price?
We're oscillating between 85 and 95 now. Go and check it and do the average.
No, I was going back.
Yeah,
I wasn't
no,
going
okay,
to
even go back. Even let's say at 80 average. My brother, this place, but Bukola, this place, this part of the world called Nigeria is still the cheapest place apart from maybe Saudi Arabia that we are at parity now, and maybe Libya. This part of the world is still the cheapest place to buy petrol. Wow. Our addiction, I am telling you, just travel now, take a flight to say Guinea, Conakry, or Senegal or anywhere, and take a car and drive. Our addiction to reckless driving about, our addiction to careless traveling, our addiction to I'm coming to something, madam. Our addiction to not being an efficient, productive country. Our attitude is what is making us.
You haven't answered my question.
No, I'm coming. Repeat. And let me go there directly.
So that the best
that we can get. The best table price you can get today is what you are getting from Dangote Refinery.
So you say petrol here is the cheapest compared
in this part of the world.
Yeah. If you go to other parts of the world in proximity to this part of the world, cheapest may be contextual if you consider other variables in other variables in other parts of the world. Other basic necessities of life in other parts of the world close to us may just be cheaper than what is obtainable here in Nigeria. In terms of pricing, I'd like you to speak to a report that came through in the month of June that S&P Global said between March and May 2026, about 70 to 80% of petrol imported into Nigeria by sea originated from Dangote Refinery. These products, according to the S&P report, were first exported and routed through offshore depots in Lomé, Togo, before being re-imported back into Nigeria. The question is, why, if that were the case, why is Dangote selling petrol at a more expensive rate to Nigerians, for which marketers now have to go outside the country to buy the same Dangote petrol and re-import it into Nigeria?
Very good, Bukola. You know what killed the textile industry of Nigeria? Do you know what killed the automobile industry of Nigeria? Go to the economic history of Nigeria. From 1970 to 1999, I was a good student of economic history of Nigeria. What killed the textile industry? What killed the automobile industry? Now you ask me a question. If the importers of petroleum products in Nigeria if there was no Dangote refinery, they will be bringing inferior product to this country. They will bring 20,000 tons. They will say they bring 40,000 tons. The vessel is half empty.
So you do not dispute the report?
No, I'm coming to somewhere. If Dangote refinery refine products at a competitive price here in relative terms, and some big companies buy it, and their vessel take it from here, outside Nigerian water territory, the flexibility of vessel, and they now divert the vessel to this artificial Togo, and they now reblend it with cheap petrol they bought inferior quality from Malta or from Kazakhstan or from Russia, and they now blend it in Togo and bring it back. They blend it with the high superior quality of Dangote.
Is that what
products.
Is that
no,
what you are alleging?
And if they now bring it back, no, I'm coming to
Mr.
something.
Kunle, is that what you are alleging?
No, I'm coming to something. If that is, he read it out that they say most of those petrol
are coming from
find its way back. Now see the international routing of trading. So how do I, who refine it, how do I control that? I produce textile in half print in Isolo, and the textile fabric find its way back to somewhere in Benin Republic of Togo, and now came back to Nigeria cheaper somehow. What control do I have? What control do I have when somebody has paid me for the petrol?
So you do not dispute the report?
No, wait. But
because you're now alleging that it is blended with inferior quality of petrol before it comes back. That suggests to me that you are not disputing the report.
But you saw that I put a caveat. I put a caveat. I said, if that report is the truth, and now said in international trading and routing, if a big buyer buy my product at my gantry, at my SBM point, and the vessel that is flexible, the vessel is going to somewhere, and the guy on the high seas tell the vessel, divert to Togo or divert to Benin Republic or anywhere, what control? I've already sold as FOB to you. So what control?
I was hoping for a categorical answer, because Dangote Refinery has denied that report, saying that the documentations required even in processing petrol make it impossible for petrol that has been produced in Nigeria to be taken outside. But recall that there was a dispute between marketers and Dangote Refinery last year over pricing, and the inference people are now making is that, analysts are making is that because they couldn't get a competitive pricing from Dangote, they studied the market and went outside the country to import the same product back into Nigeria.
Bukola, I made a caveat, and I still repeat, even if that story is true, I repeat, Kepler is the almost #1 shipping tracker in the world. Check. If you buy my LNG in Bonny with the ship, and the LNG reach Morocco and you divert it instead of going to Spain, what control do I have over it? Am I the owner of the LNG at that point? I'm not the owner of the LNG.
Why are you casting a shadow of doubt?
I never casted doubt on S&P. Don't bring that one.
No, on the report.
No.
On the report.
I said,
just a moment.
I said, even if that report is true.
Okay, we get the caveat. We get the caveat.
What control do I have? I say, what control does the producer have when they have already paid me for the product?
Let's make headway.
Yeah.
There are only two ways, to the best of my knowledge. It may be more, but to the best of my knowledge, where something imported that is produced here can be cheaper than what is produced here. There are only two ways, primarily. You can help me if there are more. One is either the product is inferior, so they bring it in, or there's a cheaper way to import. So those are two ways that can crash price. No, I've not asked my question, because the argument has always been before now, how come some of these products that are imported are cheaper than that of the Dangote refinery? Is it an NMDPA problem? Is it a quality of product problem? Is it a better way of importing problem? What exactly is the issue? If you try to lay down.
Let's go back to the.
I'm defending the consumer who wants to buy it for less. Maybe let's use the cheaper. May be offensive to some people. More affordable. I think that works.
More affordable and stable, relatively stable. Let's go back to the pricing mechanism. The quality of the petrol I am producing here is the highest in the world by standard, by API, by European,
by ppm.
Good. The source of my crude, my refinery is a merchant refinery. It's a merchant refinery. I buy crude from all over the world. I can refine more than 100 type of crude. So I look for crude to blend to refine. You give me locally, I take. You give me anywhere, I take. It's the base of my pricing. The quality of crude I get, the volume I get, and the price at which I get it is the base of my pricing for a liter of petrol. When I now add all the other costs you mentioned now, which that question you ask, all those things you mentioned, it is yes, they are all of those above. Now, when you add it on, you now get your average price. When you get that average price, the man who is importing inferior product that contains so much sulfur, he gets it at cheap price because those refineries are producing what you call low-grade petrol to dump into third world market. Just go to Guinea, go to Congo, and see what we are talking about.
Okay,
so now, when they discover that high-quality petrol in Nigeria was almost at the same price with their inferior one, the international conspiracy in big trading with deep pocket, is to start thinking how the conspiracy will fight back. Because this refinery you see in this Lagos, the international conspiracy does not want the refinery to exist.
Okay, so I think we get that. In closing, Mr. Kole,
go into the
so let's
diminish
Bukola, hold on.
the survival of that refinery.
So, Mr. Kole, that's in the final question on this one. What has to happen besides your politics and the conflicts for Nigerians to start buying fuel less than $1,000 maybe as soon as possible?
Let me give you a practical answer to that.
Of education.
A practical answer to that. If you can increase your domestic crude production capacity today to 2.5 million barrels, competitively, we are hovering around 1.6.
No, we have not gotten to 1.6.
1.5 average.
1.5.
Good.
If you add condensate, you can do 1.7.
Good. So if you can do 2.5 million barrels per day competitively, you can now decide as a national policy. The president can say, oh, I want to dedicate 500,000 barrels to domestic refiners. Domestic refiners. Maybe Dangote, that is big, 385,000. That's the contract he had. And then the other one, you give them something small. Government can now scientifically say, this crude I am giving you is because I have headroom to give you this 500,000 locally for the domestic market. So I will give you at a discount. That discount now will represent subsidy
so that
in another way. So that the
subsidy.
price that you refining cost, you add the refining cost, you can now tell the refinery, okay, all these MPA charges, all these VAT, all this that, remove it also. So that what arrives exactly, scientifically. No, not this cartel that will be changing paper overnight with their auditors. So now, that is the only way the price can be stable around what you are thinking.
Okay.
But I have warned, and I will continue to warn, in a deregulated market, you don't talk about one price in a deregulated market. In a deregulated market, that's why when I saw you talking about left and right and centuries, I just laugh. Nigeria, you seem to have forgotten. We were practicing mixed economy. It was a command era. This government, Nigeria even had a time we own restaurants. We own hotels, we own everything. It was a socialist mixed so now, if you want a stable petroleum price,
we're totally out of time.
You have to increase your domestic production of crude oil.
There are more questions than answers, really. I'm spoiled for choice. We're going to have to bring you back on the show.
Bring me back.
Because I'm wondering why, the same organization has now come out to say, that S&P Global, that Dangote is protecting Nigerians from the aftershocks of the global pricing of petrol. And there are other reports suggesting that, the refinery is getting 70 to 80% of its crude from NNPCL, but we must anchor at this point. I'd like you to reflect on that as we secure your commitment to return to the program to explore.
I am ready.
These
Give me
issues.
1 hour.
Because it's important to ensure that Nigerians are educated on their right to fair pricing, especially after we have now achieved domestic refining capacity, which was a conversation for a very long time in the realm of a dream. It has now become a reality, but Nigerians are still buying petrol for over 1,000 naira per litre. Well, thank you, sir, for coming on the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me, but I hope you know all the dynamics and the externalities that surround this product.
Yes.
It's beyond you and me.
So the education
So the report you get last week may not be the same report we are going to get 2 weeks' time.
The education must continue. Mr. Daniel Kunle
thank you very much,
an energy consultant.
Thank you, my brother. It's first time here.
Yeah, thank you for coming on the program.
We have been able to.
We'll bring you back.